fantastical, so unpredictable, here on the SNL Network.
Yes, that is right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the SNL Network's Monday Night Roundtable, covering the returns of Jake Gyllenhaal and Camila Cabello to Saturday Night Live. What a fun episode of the show. I know that it's been a little polarizing online, but our panel on Saturday seemed to really love it overall, really love Jake's performance. So I can't wait to get into it with the Monday night crew who have all watched the show and dived deep into the sketches just to see, did we really like it? How did everybody do on the show on Saturday night? So we've assembled a great panel for you for our Monday Night Roundtable, and introducing my man, Sean Grant. Sean, how are you?
I'm great, John. Thank you for having me. Oh, man. You know what? I just got criticized for my green screen. Let me get it out of there, man. Damn it.
Why? Why would you have to get rid of it? You don't have to. You don't have to listen to the. You don't have to listen to the chat for everything. I mean, they're our
the chat
friends,
doesn't own you.
I pander to the audience. I'm sorry. It's Saturday night. There we go. And I feel like I move better with it without it. There we go. All right.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you feel free. Sean, how are you? Everything going well with your comedy tour?
Going great, man. We're in Cincinnati this weekend. If you're in or Liberty Township, Ohio, if you're there, come through. Phoenix the week after. So yeah, man. Thank you for asking, John, and thank you for having me.
Of course. Always great to hear from you. One of our funniest panelists we have join us. So it's always great to get to catch up with you, Sean. And joining us from Consequence, it is the wonderfully talented Liz Shannon Miller. Liz, how are you?
Great. Not the funniest, I guess, but whatever.
I knew I was going to get myself in trouble.
It's fine. I'm totally joking. It's a pleasure to be here. I thoroughly enjoyed the episode, so I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Yes, for sure. I'm so excited to get to hear your thoughts on Jake Gyllenhaal. So we'll get into that in a few minutes. And it's always great to welcome this guy back onto the podcast. He joined us all the way at the beginning from the SNL Stats days. And I can't believe I went a whole month without talking to Rich Tackenberg on the SNL Network. So Rich, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Pass.
Oh,
it's great to be here. I feel a loss in my life. I feel a hole that because we didn't get to chat the last round. But I'm so excited to be back. A lot going on, but there's always time to talk about SNL. That's for sure.
right.
Yeah, Rich is such an SNL veteran that he has been podcasting since the days of Jake Gyllenhaal hosting for the first time. So, yeah. So let me start with you then, Rich, because I do want to ask you as we get into our discussion on this episode. When you heard that Jake Gyllenhaal was going to be announced, what were your feelings and thoughts on this booking?
Someone very close to me said, put it best, which is my concern was that Jake Gyllenhaal is funny, but he's not as funny as Jake Gyllenhaal thinks he is. And I'm not saying that's true, but I think that it was a well critique, seeing him on talk shows and stuff like that. So I was a little concerned. I mean, big name, good guy, lot of history. But I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how this was going to go. But I will say, and we'll get into it, just to start off, anyone who knows me, I've said this for years, and this applies completely to Jake. Anytime SNL books an actor or actress who can sing, but is not known for singing, there's going to be a lot of singing on the show. Sometimes that's great. Sometimes that's not so good. So my expectation was, I know he was in Sunday with the Park with George. I know he's a very good singer. So my expectation was a lot of music in this episode. And on that, I think I was not surprised.
Yeah, and you can expect a musical roundtable tonight.
There were nights when the wind was so cold.
Yeah, our whole panel is going to break into it. So,
Excellent.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I was looking forward to this. I think it was going to be a fun booking, but I do agree, Rich. Yeah, we can expect that, somebody as talented as Jake was going to bring out all the stops when he was hosting the show. Liz, what were your thoughts when you saw Jake Gyllenhaal was coming back for the second time to host SNL?
I mean, I actually had to look up to make sure he hadn't done it before, because he did seem like a relatively obvious choice. I think my expectations were that he was going to lean into the weirdness of that he's kind of, I think, been cultivating lately. I mean, I guess one of the reasons why I assumed he'd hosted so much more recently than he has is because of the cameo he made in the one of the musical sketches.
It was Airport Sushi.
It was Airport Sushi. Yeah, I was trying to remember if that was last fall or the fall before. Probably the fall before, but what is time? But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that aspect of it, and yeah, I guess I was just surprised that the Taylor Swift cover didn't happen. Like, where was the Taylor Swift cover?
Yeah, that was my next question.
Where's Jake's version of Red? That's what I want to know.
For sure. That was really my next question, Liz, and I'll just have you follow up on that if you don't mind, which was like, that was the big storyline coming into this. Obviously, last week was Slapgate. How is SNL going to cover that? This week was all about Jake Gyllenhaal and, what we had heard at the beginning of the season, which was, all the stuff with Taylor Swift, and they completely avoided that altogether. Were you happy with that choice, Liz?
I mean, I think it wasn't Taylor's night. It was Jake's night, and Jake had a very nice night. And I also think he might be a little bit of a coward. I'm just going to call that. I'm just going to throw that out there. Jake Gyllenhaal is a coward. That's going to go great for me down the line professionally.
Oh, all right. Well, let me bring in Sean then. So, Sean, what were your thoughts on Jake Gyllenhaal hosting the show?
Man, I had no expectations. I don't know anything about Jake Gyllenhaal, or he has a beef with Taylor Swift. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah. So again, I mean, I'm no Hollywood Dish host, but I will say that from my understanding, is that Jake Gyllenhaal and Taylor Swift used to be in a relationship, and then yes, somewhere along the way something went wrong. It is all covered all too well in Taylor Swift's song "All Too Well," and she put out a music video as well as performed a 10-minute song earlier in the season, and a lot of references to the relationship with Jake Gyllenhaal, and in particular the red scarf that was, I think, left behind by him at some point. So
at Maggie Gyllenhaal's house, or no, Taylor left the red scarf at Maggie Gyllenhaal's house.
Yeah. Wait a minute, Liz. Now, come on. Now, we're turning this into smut. This is an SNL Network podcast. I don't like to talk about people's bedroom business here. The man could sing. I didn't know that before the show. And black people are very judgmental when it comes to singing. So when he hit them notes, man, I said, "Oh, it was nice, Jake." I didn't know he could sing like that, and so I had no expectations. But I will say, Rich can, I don't know if there's a stat on this, but back in the days on the early SNL, some guys wouldn't do comedic monologues. They would just straight up sing. It wouldn't even be funny. I don't know how many people have done that, but
like Paul Simon. Yeah.
Yeah. People just like open up and just with a song or whatever. Like, so it was cool. I mean, it was a comedic song, but he was really trying to blow, man. I could tell. Like, he was really focused on the funny. He was trying to show me he could sing, and he got my respect.
Oh, good. I'm glad he did. Yeah, he like a lot of people felt that Jake had to earn their respect for this particular show, and I think he did a good job overall with stuff like that for this episode. So, Rich, jump off on this discussion that we're having. Do you feel that they should have addressed all this outsized, what did we call it, Sean? Smut?
That's smut. That's smut there. That's bedroom business there. Come on now. Well, no, go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I'm very versed in the Taylor Swift scarf gate from a conversation I had with one of our coordinators 15 minutes before we recorded. I just found out because I was like, what's going on with this scarf? Is there a sweater involved? It's too warm for a scarf. Why are we worrying about scarves? I tell you, SNL is not afraid of presidents. They are not afraid of people, within their own company. I think all of SNL knows to not to tread on Taylor Swift. When was the last time Weekend Update made a Taylor Swift joke that was actually as mean-spirited as almost any other joke they make? You're not going to find it because they I think tread lightly in that area. So I was not surprised that no one took a shot at Taylor, unless Jake was going to make fun of himself about the Taylor Swift thing. I'm surprised. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
If I may, I'm not going to walk back my comments about Jake Gyllenhaal's bravery or lack thereof. I'm going to own it, but I will say, I mean, yeah, it wasn't necessarily a part of something that needed to be addressed, but I think it's to piggyback off what Rich is saying. I think the key aspect here is if Jake had been willing to make fun of it in some way, that would have been really exciting and really interesting. And the fact that he did not, and like a lot of us didn't want to necessarily make jokes about his ex on national television, I can't blame him for that. Like, that's fine. But it would have been very interesting if they had found a way into talking about it that made him comfortable, didn't piss off Taylor Swift, and was also funny, which is
he could have,
an impossible thing to ask for.
He could have done the monologue with a red scarf on and never say anything, but then
that would have been something.
But then all we would have been talking about is Taylor Swift and not his performance. Yeah. And if I'm Jake, that's not what I want the story to be. I want the story to be about me and my performance, not in Taylor Swift.
You want this? You want this to be your audition for the upcoming film adaptation of Wicked. Yeah, or whatever else. What other big musicals are currently in development?
Right, exactly. Well, I also think, like, I have to wonder if this was actually Jake Gyllenhaal's first time hosting, if the monologue would have been about that. But because he's hosted before, because he's cameoed before, he's like, damn it, I am an SNL star. They've brought me back to cameo 3 other times. I've been in a digital short. I've been in a Mulaney musical. I've appeared on Weekend Update. I've done everything at this show. So for me, it's much more, it's about my career. And I wonder if in a way that was almost smarter, because you saw how much like swagger, in a sense, that he had with his performances. And that's where I feel like he came and he elevated the night a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rich, do you remember anything in particular from the 2007 version of the Jake Gyllenhaal episode, like where you were when you watched it, or what the experience was like having him host the show?
John, I barely remember episodes from this season.
Okay, got it.
You think I remember 2007? I've seen every episode of SNL since '84. It's a blur. No, I remember it being funny. I remember being surprised. Anytime at the time, I always thought of him as a serious actor, and I'm always concerned when a drama actor, who clearly wants to be funny, because I'm afraid they're going to be in a dress. They're going to do an accent that they're going to regret in 2 years. They're going to want to be the crazy person in every sketch. And I remember being pleasantly surprised that, like, oh, he held his own. I thought he did a really good job, but I don't remember a lot of the specifics.
Yeah, for sure. I went and I thought this would be fun. I decided to scroll all the way back through my social media timeline. I went all the way back to like my original Facebook days to try and see like, where was I on the night that Jake Gyllenhaal hosted in January of 2007? I was in the 8th grade, so I was trying to figure it out myself. And as the panel puts their head in their hands. But I realized it was during the MySpace days. So that's all that stuff has been erased from the internet. So, I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff from, the first iPhone being invented. I remember Fred Armisen had a Steve Jobs impression on Weekend Update. Jason Sudeikis was doing George Bush, as you mentioned, and obviously there were some sketches that were really great, but ones that probably could not be done in 2022. So it was definitely interesting to go back and watch that. Sean, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, I know he joked about that the being in drag was the least problematic sketch, but I thought he was just. Do you think there was some stuff that you'd be like, wow, like a little too much?
What's the worst offender?
Okay, so this is what I think he was referencing, which is there's a sketch near the end of the episode where I believe it's Kristen Wiig and Jason Sudeikis are both in wheelchairs at a party, and Maya Rudolph and Jake Gyllenhaal are trying to set them up, but not say that it's because they're both in wheelchairs. And what happens is like they're talking to them and they're like, oh, well, what do we have in common if it's not the fact that we're in the wheelchair? And then like Maya just like blurts out, she's just like, how do you go to the bathroom? And it's very like funny, but I could see like in today's like
as hell. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like in today's cancel culture, I don't know that it could be pulled off. So anyways, yeah, that was what I think he was referencing. And I think it's like a sneaky favorite of a lot of people's, but anyways, no.
I have a quick fact check before we move on from just general Jake Gyllenhaal conversation, sure. Which is, okay, I'm pretty sure Brokeback Mountain came out in 2005. Why is he saying that he was promoting Brokeback Mountain in 2007?
That is because during his original monologue, Will Forte and I believe Jason Sudeikis were playing Brokeback Mountain characters in the monologue, and they were like extremely giddy that Jake had ripped off his clothes and was in a dress and stuff like that. And so I think that was probably just a reference to what was, what the times were. Obviously, they can get away with different things than they could now. So yeah, I always find it fascinating. I mean, like again, I said this on Saturday. I'll say it again. Like, to me, some stats are meaningless to some people and very obscure, but I always find it fascinating. In this particular case, he's only the 11th person ever to come back and host the second time after 15 years. And I always say SNL is the best when you see a host at different stages of their lives. I love that. I love the fact that I can go back to season 4 and watch the Rolling Stones host, a little bit, and then Mick Jagger hosts, all the way later in 2012. I mean, that's 33 years of difference. And there's nothing like that on television. And I just find that really cool for SNL.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go around the panel one more time before we get into our sketches that we want to talk about tonight. Let me just get an overall, feeling about the show that I want to, just get a vibe for how you're feeling about it. So, Sean, overall, how did you feel about this episode we got to see from Jake?
I thought it was fun, man. Like I said, I came in with very little expectations, and there was obviously some sketches where I was like, well, I didn't know what was going on exactly, but one of my favorites, honestly, this is the first time I picked a pre-tape, but man, this is my favorite. I don't want to ruin it, but yeah, I want to talk about why I loved it so much.
Okay.
But yeah, man, overall just fun, and it flowed, and smooth, man.
All right, so we'll get into that in a few minutes. Liz, overall, how'd you feel about the night?
Oh, very, very good. Very happy. I thought it was a very solid episode. I could rank the sketches very easily and pick like my least favorite, but I thought even my least favorite sketch was really solid. I think, like, in general, something I feel like I've been noticing about the writing over the last several months is that the endings of sketches are better. Like, I feel like there were a couple of years there where you'd watch an SNL sketch and the premise would be funny, but they would never nail the button. And the buttons relatively consistently this season have been very solid and very additive. Like, they really do add an extra twist to the premise. Or at the very least, like, they add an extra something. So that's been really exciting to see. And so I thought the writing in general was just really top notch this week.
100%. I would agree. I would agree with most of that, and we'll get into it as we get through the show. Rich, overall, how'd you feel about the Jake Gyllenhaal episode?
I definitely liked it a lot. I mean, I'd say I probably liked it the least of the panel. I don't think it was one of my favorite shows of the season, but I don't think that there's one sketch I could point to and say I didn't like a specific sketch. I just thought there were a couple of sketches that were like, okay. I felt like the show, it was, but I will say I feel like the writing of this was very interesting. Areas that they were touching on, they were breaking. There wasn't a lot of sort of SNL tropes or sketches that started as what I thought would be an SNL trope, took turns that I thought were different. And I think, to Liz's point, one of the things I'm seeing more and more is strong buttons, and also sketches that aren't overstaying their welcome, where I think that, we used to have a sketch that you're like, oh my God, that should have ended right there. These sketches I feel like are ending, about right. So, but overall, I thought a pretty cohesive night in general.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And speaking of sketches that took a little bit of a turn, let's start talking about our cold open that we saw from this night. And that was the Ketanji Brown Jackson confirmation, which opened up with James Austin Johnson playing President Joe Biden for the 6th time this season. Ego Wodem was given the role of Ketanji Brown Jackson, and we got to see appearances from former justices, including Kate as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Kenan Thompson as Thurgood Marshall, Punky Johnson came out as Harriet Tubman, and obviously Chris Redd as Jackie Robinson. Chloe also appeared in our cold open. So, Sean, starting with you on this one, how did you feel about the cold open we saw this week?
I'm biased, man. Of course, I wanted to see all 4 of them black people on screen. It was beautiful, and the performance-wise, it was fine. I thought that I love JJ, homies. I really want to get into his performance on the sketch that I picked. But yeah, man, he set that up well, and you kind of knew that's what it was. I mean, it was just, let me get out of here. Ruth, even the Ruth thing, like her getting out of there and just showing that moment. It was, when I do improv, or sometimes, really not in stand-up, but in improv, you can feel when it's about the people on the stage and not so much about the characters they're playing. it's about the improvisers or whatever. So it was just a cool moment in history to celebrate that. And it was cool that Chris Redd can just play anybody in Black history, I guess. I don't know how accurate in Jackie Robinson it was, but who cares, man? It was cool. So yeah, I thought it was fine, man. It was beyond critique for me.
Sean, can I just follow up with you on that? So obviously a very historic moment in the United States with Ketanji Brown Jackson being confirmed as a justice on the Supreme Court. Do you feel like SNL could have done more potentially to honor this momentous occasion, or do you feel that this was dressed the way that they should have?
I think that I thought it was fine. I don't know what else. What are you thinking, John? Or is that a loaded question, or do you think it can always do more? Yeah, do more. Shit. What you mean?
No. It's not a loaded question. I just certainly, when I'm watching this, I like to evaluate the comedy. Obviously, I mean, no matter what's happening, whether it's the darkest times in our lives or like the greatest things that could have ever happened to history, I like to just take a step back and evaluate the comedy itself. But to your point, when you're talking about your experience evaluating the cold open, certainly having 4 Black SNL cast members out, saying live from New York at Saturday night. I mean, look, talking about as SNL's history, I mean, that's something that was not something that they could have done for a long time or did do because they didn't have that many Black cast members. So for me, it's like it was cool in a sense to see that in comparison to what the topic of the cold open was about.
Yeah, I thought it was. They had the little joke about her name in the beginning. I don't know if it was his stumbling was. I mean, is he just that good? Like, does he seem like it was a real moment? Like he stumbled a little bit, but not. I can't. I'm like,
I think he actually stumbled. Yeah.
I think he actually did stumble.
I think he did. Yeah. Yeah.
And then
I think like half of it was a stumble and half of it was him actually building up to a joke.
Right. You can't tell with this dude, man. I'm like, oh, you dangerous. This dude's dangerous, man. I like him. Sorry. He's good. But I thought they did what they could, man. It was fun.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Liz, what were your thoughts on the cold open that we saw?
Well, yeah, piggyback off that, I think Eric Deggans from NPR tweeted something similar to what Sean was just saying about just like the fact that SNL is now at a point where it physically can have 4 Black cast members play 4 Black figures from history. Like that's something we couldn't do necessarily. The show couldn't do like several years ago. I did think that both Keenan and Chris Redd were adhering to a very specific school of improvisation of characterization when it comes to doing impressions of their famous figures. I think that was actually something that was built into the writing of Keenan's introduction as Thurgood Marshall, which I mean, no one knows. No one in modern day society really has an understanding of what Thurgood Marshall sounded like. So I think that's fair. But yeah, it was great to see it happen. I thought it was a nice tribute to the historic nature of the moment. Like, I don't know how much deeper we needed to get into it, but I did think there were some very, very good jokes loaded in there, and also we got the bonus Ruth Bader Ginsburg for the road. So that's never something I'm going to say no to.
Yeah.
And that's a Ginsburg.
Hey, Ginsburg.
Yeah. I don't know if we were happy about that. I mean, I liked Kate McKinnon, but I don't know if we needed that for this sketch. But I agree. It's always fun to see them. I do believe it brings some high energy to the sketch for sure. So, Rich, how did you feel about the cold open we saw this week?
Yeah, it was a misdirect for me because when JAJ says like, we're going to see some people who've come through these this office, I thought it was going to be past presidents, which I was not looking forward to. And then it was this nice twist. I think that the Ginsburg piece was nice just to sort of that call back to another, justice. Yeah, I mean, whatever, what you guys said, what I would add even onto his thing about the cast, I would say, how crazy is it not only that we had this cast at the same time and we could do this, but in this particular sketch, Kenan Thompson was the least funny person in the sketch. And I love Kenan Thompson, but first of all, did he do the exact same impression that he did as Clarence Thomas a few weeks ago? I wasn't sure who he was playing until they said it.
I think, Yeah,
Go
Keenan's
ahead.
talents are many. Keenan has so many talents, but strong impersonations aren't necessarily one of them.
Yes, and I like that sometimes he doesn't even try. I just, you know,
Yeah.
but I thought I like to see Punky doing a strong candidate, a strong character. We'll talk about her maybe a little bit later too. It was nice to see that she wasn't sort of an add-on as often featured players are, that she got to do something and did a very good job of it. And one of the themes of the night was really Chris Redd for me. I mean, you know, you don't have so many people as they're coming up are known for one thing that maybe they veer here or there, but Chris has so many different moves, and I thought this was really fun. Was that an accurate no, of course not, but it was still really fun. So I don't know that I would go back and revisit this from a comedy standpoint, but in general I thought it was a really fun way to start the show.
Yeah, I thought Punky had the I'm sorry, John. Sorry.
No, please go ahead. Yeah.
No, I thought Punky had the funniest. I mean, are we in trouble? Why would you go to the White House? I don't know what point in history a slave would go to the White House when they're in trouble. But
yeah,
Sean, I love this.
Light 2 candles and meet me in the farmhouse at midnight.
Yeah, that was great.
That's great.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah, that was really great. Look, my take on this cold open ultimately was I was going in the same direction as you, Rich. I was saying to myself, okay, which White House staff or historical White House figures are they going to go in? And then it took a turn and it went more to the historical justices. And obviously, I mean, we never had a Thurgood Marshall, a Harriet Tubman, or even a Jackie Robinson impression on Saturday Night Live. So I think that this was really cool in a sense that they went in this direction. And for me, one of the better cold opens of the season. So I did enjoy it for the most part. Okay, let's get into the sketches that we want to talk about throughout the night. And I know Sean is chomping at the bit to talk about a pre-tape from the night. So Sean, let's start us off.
Oh yeah, man. HGTV. Hell yeah. Oh man.
Right.
You know, yes, sir. All right.
So tell us what you liked about it.
I'll tell you what I loved about it, man. You know what? The fact that this is the first time I've chosen a pre-tape. I don't like the the guys, I forget, burn after, this must destroy, whatever. Those
Please
guys.
don't destroy.
Please don't destroy. Yeah. But you know, I feel like this pre-tape took advantage of what a pre-tape can take advantage of. Just like the live stuff, I like when you take advantage of the live aspect of a sketch. This took advantage of the subtlety aspect that's possible in a pre-tape. I love how they hid the game right before they jumped on it, you know, because you're like, oh, this is about to be, about those cousins that don't seem to really like each other. You know, they had that weird hug, which also plays into like the subtlety of how it's directed, like showing the little things. And you have no idea that it's about to be about this overbearing mother-in-law who's taking over the show or who's taking over whatever's happening to the house. And then they just played the hell out of that game. JAJ's performance, it was just the little things. I mean, when he was about to, there's nothing funny about being about to hit a woman, but unless he's the way he did it, I was like, damn, like it was just, I was dying laughing. They took advantage of they got the juice out, man. I love it. That was a great sketch in my opinion. And I come on, man. If what I lack in knowledge about SNL, I make up for in indignance and passion and volume. So I'll shout you down. Go ahead, Rich. Challenge me. I'll shout you down, Rich.
What I love about this is I love podcasting with Sean because we almost always disagree. I would say this was probably one of my least favorite sketches of the night, Sean. I know. I couldn't script it better. Here's the thing. I like the setup and I love the Kate McKinnon piece. Once we revealed the game of the overbearing, it was just repetitive for me. It was just the same thing over and over again. I thought that I was more focused on Rich? The cat. I liked the cat more than I think I liked Kate McKinnon in this. I will say though, I really liked to his point, JEJ. I thought that performance was so subtle and so fun. But I didn't like it as much as Sean, but that's okay.
I cannot. Yeah, this is not okay. I can't understand this. I mean, the lines of this, and really, JJ. Here, I'll play one thing before we head over to Liz.
I know she took your sweetness.
You laughed, Rich. You laughed.
Oh, by the way, I liked it. I just didn't love. I didn't love it, but I liked it. Yes.
I gave my sweetness.
Just the subtle nature of this was so brilliant. I can't even. I need to explore this more, but I want to get Liz in on the conversation. So, Liz, please tell us your thoughts on this.
I mean, I agree with Rich on the aspect that this is a game that the Kate McKinnon plays a weird old lady game that the Kate McKinnon plays an old lady well is one to which SNL goes a lot. And so once she appeared, I was like, okay, now I understand where the sketch is going. But I do think the execution of it was, as Sean talked about, spot on. And honestly, the sketch got me with the duck statues that I can't remember the names of, but the duck statue, and it was like
they were wise quackers.
The wise
quackers.
The way that the room, the digital representation of the room just fills with them was like top notch work. I actually really did like I'm not familiar at all with HGTV, so if this is actually just standard, I embrace the fact that that's the case. But I did really like the digital, like using the digital mock-ups as like part of the joke fodder. Like that was just like a really good example of using every moment of the screen, every moment of the sketch to add an extra bit of comedy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I thought it it escalated perfectly. Like there was no lateral moves. You go from, okay, we get it. She's switching up the rooms. We didn't have another. Yeah, the rooms are getting switched up, and then he hates her. Then he wants her to hit. She you're about to hit her. She took it like you don't realize how deep this hatred goes until you just keep playing this game up to its crescendo, man. And when I don't know if you guys take the word nerd personally. You comedy
Definitely
nerds. Not. Sorry, okay. You comedy nerds can laugh at something, laugh your ass off, and then say, no, don't like it. It's funny. Shame on you. That was funny.
All right, let me ask. So,
Definitely
Sean and Liz, let me ask you a question, and this is not loaded. That knowing where the game went, because I'm interested in this. Knowing where the game went with the Kate McKinnon character, there was a lot of setup about the cousins. I felt like now knowing where the game went, was a little bit of comedy exhaustion for me. And I feel like knowing where the game went, I wish that was a third to a quarter the length. Did you guys like it? Did it build for you? Did it actually add to it? Or what did you guys think at the beginning?
So you're asking like, how did the concept of property cousins affect the reading of
all the setup of the cousins and the hug and kind of all that lead into what became the game of the scene?
That's interesting. Sean, why don't you answer first?
I thought it was designed to hide the game. I like to, you know what I mean? It's designed so that as soon as we start playing, you have no idea. Like you think it's about to be about that or HGTV, or you're like just, and then they're gone. Like you don't even, they might as well have not done any, you know what I mean? Which is such a great way to like just reveal it. Like, you know what I mean? Almost Chappellian in the way that he'll like, oh, you didn't know that's where I was going. You know what I mean? Like just switch pivot foot. You hit the pivot and you just immediately into this game and then we're out, in and out. I like it. Everything seemed clean, like nothing, no hats on hats. It was just boom, like right to the game, escalated it, and we got out. I love it.
I do see what you're saying, Rich. Like, and I feel like there could have potentially been a way for the concept of the property cousins to tie in a little bit more to what the ultimate run of the sketch was. But, I do see what you're talking about there. But I also feel like it's only really in retrospect right now, like that I'm giving that I feel like it really affected the sketch. Like I think on balance, like people were like, okay, this is just a funny intro, and then we're moving into the funny next stage.
I will also allow, although I don't backtrack at all, maybe one of my problems is, as I shared with the guys beforehand, my wife and I just bought a house. So the idea of seeing a dream room and the reality, I may end up with a couple of those quackers in the home office. So maybe it hit a little too close to home for me.
Too soon, SNL. Too soon.
Too soon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, let me just say, the cousins, throw them out of the sketch. Really made no difference, didn't add or subtract anything for me. This sketch was absolutely fantastic. Rich, I cannot understand what you're saying about this because I loved the escalation on this. I just felt like, yes, we've seen Kate McKinnon play the crazy old lady character one too many times, but in this case, it had nothing to do with the character. I mean, some of the lines were funny. I'll give her that.
I think that skinny Minnie opened her legs and stole my son.
Right. So there's something there, but it's not about the Kate McKinnon character. It is a 110% about James Austin Johnson's character and his relationship to his mother and to his wife. And I will say this to me, J.A.J. has played Trump. He's played Biden. He's done some other really good things this year. I've gotten a lot of buzz. This was bar none my favorite James Austin Johnson performance the entire season. I loved the way he played this character.
I love the character. Yeah. Now I hate that I want to fight against comedy because I love that you guys liked it, but the game of here's room, here's her vision of the room, here's how the room ends up after the mom. I found that basic premise got very tiring for me, quackers aside.
Yes, I could see that. Would you have preferred this more if there was more interaction between the three of them and getting the dynamics more?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, because I agree. The James Austin Johnson character, I don't want to say I related to moments of that, but I won't say I didn't relate to moments of that. So I totally get it. Yes.
Yes, for sure. Have you also given up your sweetness?
Uh-oh. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I
Honestly,
thought we were avoiding smut on this podcast.
That is true. That's true. Yeah, no smut.
I want some rich smut. I want some rich smut. Oh my.
Yes. Yeah. Smut or dirt.
Paris and Texas want to see me make my dirt.
Yes.
I love that. How could you not look at that? But no, man. You know what? I feel like his performance reminded me of like what gets you like a comedian gets like a Golden Globe or an Academy Award with the subtlety. Like if you remember Eddie Murphy in Dreamgirls, they said all that work he's done comedically over the years, it was just like a tiny little look that he gave right before he did some cocaine in Dreamgirls that you're like, he won an award for that. And it's like J.A.J. has that capability, man. He's that wide, ranging where you can just, oh man, like it felt real. Like this guy was real to me, man. And I love that when you can pull out the drama in somebody and stretch the comedy in that way. It felt just like like stretching that tension band.
Yeah. And let me just say one more thing about J.A.J. When these new cast members come on, we always want to figure out what are they actually like as people. And when you have an impressionist come on in the style of a Dana Carvey, a Daryl Hammond, or a James Austin Johnson, the biggest question as an SNL fan is how do we connect with them? Because they always make these impressions and you don't get to know who the real person is. But then when you take them out of the impressions and you put them into these roles, we get to learn a little bit more. And I know that J.A.J. is probably a method actor. He's probably not a cuck in real life. But the fact is that when you can take him out of the impression and put him in these roles, we start to see his breadth of what he can do really on the show in the sense of like a Bill Hader almost. He was heading in a direction that was really just clear, presidential impressions and impressions that, a lot of people attempt to do. And with somebody like a Bill Hader or even a Phil Hartman, you end up having somebody who could do a lot of impressions, but now can also do a lot of characters. And I feel like this turn for him towards the second half of the season is really fantastic.
Totally agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Okay, cool. Anyone else got anything on HGTV or should we move on?
I'm good.
All right, Liz, heading over to you for the sketch that you would like to talk about.
Is it all right if I do a last second pivot?
Yeah, do it. Go for it.
All right. I originally picked a pre-tape, but I think I want to talk about the garden sketch. And I have a couple of reasons for wanting to bring it up. I don't think it was the best sketch of the night, but it did capture so many elements of live SNL that I so thoroughly enjoy. You've got the live animal on set. You've got the, slightly, always kind of like obvious, green screening work, but you also just had, there's just like this really wonderful undercurrent of weirdness running throughout the whole thing. Plus it had, and I nearly also picked the Tombstone sketch because of this. I love when they have to play with fluids on screen. Like it's always funny, especially just because you're imagining the huge mess being made. it was a real treat. I thought they did a lot of different things in that sketch, and it all actually played together. It's pretty funny. It also had like Keenan doing like his funny old man voice, which is a voice that I really, really enjoy for whatever reason. I mean, it was just like, it was kind of like a big salad made up with a lot of weird random ingredients, but it somehow tasted pretty good.
Yeah, and I would say this was a fluid-heavy episode for a lot of the sketches that we ended up getting. But yeah, this was interesting. Had a lot of different elements in it. Obviously, Bowen Yang playing a bee coming in at one point. We had Kyle Mooney with playing a weed, and then the dog. So a lot of stuff happening here. Rich, how did you feel about Spring Flowers?
Oh, I thought it was super fun. I mean, a couple of things, but just it felt like a nice mix. We're seeing different people playing together. There was no trope. It wasn't, oh, we're doing another SNL garden sketch. Oh boy, we're doing the flowers come to life again. I love just the idea of what might it be like to be a flower, and and playing with that trope. I thought that was super fun. Great energy. Of course, we had to hear singing again. Maybe not my first choice, but also to what Liz was saying, I noticed in this sketch, for me, one of the things I always, traditionally SNL struggles the most. Well, I would never want it to be all pre-tapes, but the technical aspects of these sketches often kills some of the great live sketches because the timings are a little off, or it doesn't go quite how it's supposed to go. And this night in general, talk about a shout out to the production department, because every sketch, every green screen element, liquid, cutting, all of these things worked flawlessly, both on timing, elevating the comedy, making the performance, the reaction to those things be more fun. So I thought it was just overall, they really got their act together and pulled this off really well.
Yeah, it was very impressive. And also, I have to say, for Liz Patrick really took over the main directing role at the start of the season. Don Roy King retired at the Paul Rudd episode, and I think she's done a very good job, for all the directing and stuff. That these are not easy sketches to pull off with multiple sets and stuff like that. So pretty impressive overall. Sean, what were your opinions on Spring Flowers, the sketch that we got?
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, I'm not usually a fan of the weird stuff, but that was fun, man. Clean game. Again, you know exactly what's going on. What's it like to be a flower? And I love how Chris Redd's character just immediately got into loving it. What was the line he said? I like that or something weird. I forget what he said.
He said this.
I know. It's like, when is it gonna be my turn?
My turn. Yeah. Oh my gosh, man. Just a clean way to get to, like, killing the plant and you having sex with them. I mean, it's so much fun, man. I thought if I had a critique, it was there was something about the way the whatever it was. It was like it was fun, man. I thought it was. Oh, you know what? Oh, I thought it was very similar to Princess and the Frog. It's the same writers, that type of thing, where we're just escalating something like like it seemed like a basic thought, and then we just escalated. Like what would like a frog penis? Like, let me just escalate that. Or what would it be like to be a flower? Is it the same writers? Come on, John, get on the ball.
I have to check. I have to check on that one. So,
I stumped John. Yes.
Yeah, Rich, you want to fill in some time while I check the writing comparisons between the two sketches?
Yeah, I mean, I also, as you guys were saying, I liked the rhythm of the comedy in that, you had, at one point I thought Chris Redd was just, purely stealing the show, but then Bowen Yang comes in and, the bee was just so funny, and then just being covered with dog urine and playing that mode. So it was nice, even though it was a theme, it didn't feel like, oh, here's like 6 writers wrote 6 different comedy beats that we strung together. It felt like of a piece, but it didn't feel like, oh my God, I get it. Okay, wrap it up. I thought it was a really nice sort of, a variety of pieces with Chris Redd's character always kind of bringing us back to that. When is it my turn? Which was such a fun way to do it. So it was really fun.
Yeah, so the Princess and the Frog sketch, that was from the Zoe Kravitz episode. That was Mike DiCenzo, Colin Jost, and Ben Silva. The only writer on both of these was Colin Jost. So obviously Colin Jost, there was some similarities there. Jost, Sublette, Gates, and Yim wrote this one. But yeah, that was interesting to me because I do feel a little bit of the opposite approach to this one, where I did feel like the parts were disconnecting in a way. I think Chris was, as you were saying, the part that connected all of them with consistently the.
Wait! Don't do me after you just did him!
Sorry, I meant to. Let me take that over one more time. I'm gonna fix that in post. But with Chris consistently being like,
I know. It's like, when is it gonna be my turn?
so he consistently connected it with all that stuff. But I really felt, I was like, okay, if you're gonna do the Bowen thing, which by the way wasn't just subtle. I mean, it was very intense. It was very. It was a lot. And then of course Sarah.
Wait! Don't do me after you just did him!
Like I sort of felt like if you're gonna go with that, then make it about the bee. But instead, this is the danger of SNL sometimes, because one of the themes we've had on season 47 in the podcast is obviously MVP of the season, Chris Redd. But at a certain point, you have to be careful how many sketches you're going to make the whole game of the sketch being a Chris Redd punchline, which we've had a lot. And trust me, I do the sound clips for all of the episodes. I mean, I know how many times Chris Redd is the one who is anchoring that position. So I just saying, like, I enjoyed this. I just want to be careful that maybe like one an episode is enough, because I think that, like, look, we had, as Rich referenced earlier in the episode, like, you know, it's the Chris Redd one-liners that are seeming to become a thing for him. And I think that works at times, but not all the time. So that's just my worry about this sometimes.
I will say, for me, I wouldn't say it's based on lines or specific jokes, but I thought Sarah Sherman really popped in this. I don't think I would have liked this sketch if you had subbed in someone else. And I thought her energy mixed into some of the SNL classics was a really nice mix too.
Yeah, 100%. Really great episode for some of our younger players in this episode. Okay, Rich, tell us the sketch that you want to talk about.
So, you know, when I saw in the commercial break that we were going to start with a game show, I was a little bit like, oh boy, here we go again. I feel like the game show trope is a little bit tired, you know, and then, you know, we come in and we're doing Why'd You Like It? The Instagram game show. And I really like this a lot. A lot to say about it, but in general, I really liked it a lot. And it really reminded me where normally it's either it's a bunch of crazy people who are so stupid they can't find things in a thing, or it's a takeoff on a class, whatever it might be. This was in the vein of What's That Name? If you remember the Bill Hader sketch about how we don't know people's names, or one of my favorites when Tina Fey did the game show Meet Your Second Wife, like really kind of like we're putting the players on blast a little bit. I thought this was in that vein, and I really like that. I also, one of the reasons I really like this sketch, even though it was very simplistic in its execution, is, you know, when we look at, like, you know, often sketches are like, you know, what's the crazy person in the regular environment, or what's the crazy situation? This is more of the, what are the things that people actually do that no one shines a light on? And I love those sketches. And I feel like this was that, who's actually gone, why did you like that? And so I want to hear what other people, I have more to say about it, but I want to see if other people liked it as much as I did. But I thought this was really fun.
Okay, Sean, did you like it, and why did you like it?
I want you guys to see me looking down my nose at Rich. I'm looking down my nose at you, Rich.
Bring it on. Bring it on,
Sean. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're better than that. That was, first of all, I just, game shows, they're a little easy for me because obviously the game is built in. It's very easy to get to the game, right? You don't need to reveal the game. The game is built into how it's designed. So all the moves seem real lateral to me. Like every Why'd You Like It ended up with the person wanting to have sexual relations with the person's whose picture they. So you didn't really escalate that. You just moved. Now I will say the jokes were very good. Individually broken. That's why I was like, okay, I do like it was funny for that reason, only because the jokes were strong, but the movements from, like, you know, escalation standpoint were just very basic lateral moves. Like, you just like it because you're trying to get the person to have sex with you. So little sophomoric for me, Rich. Sorry about that, buddy.
I want to hear what Liz has to say. Then I'll explain to Sean why he's wrong. But let's give Liz a chance first.
You made her sick.
Here's what I'll say. I really enjoyed a great deal of the sketch. I think that Sean's points about the lack of escalation are very valid. I think it could have pushed further in that direction. That being said, I think like similar to what Rich was saying about this particular type of game show sketch, and it is a little funny to me that there are subgenres within the game show sketch genre on SNL. But I do prefer the ones where it kind of feels like the people on the show the panelists have been sucked into like some terrible dystopian future where they're trapped in the situation where they don't know what the game show is, but they have to play it. And the host is some sort of malevolent force of evil. Like those are my favorite SNL sketches. Like I repeatedly use the gif of Bill Hader just saying chaos, which is from one of these types of sketches where somebody's asking, why do you do this? And he's like, in a word, chaos. And it's very satisfying to me. I really love that twist on the game show format. So this fell into that category, ergo I was a sucker.
For sure. Rich, did you want to go at Sean?
Oh, yeah. I want to once again explain why Sean's wrong. Sean, because you don't understand comedy. Let me explain it to you. For me, and I'm not actually saying you. For me, what I liked about it is, so the first reveal is, the first character likes it because he actually wants to have sex with the woman. Okay. The second person, I'm waiting for what's going to be the different thing, and when it's because also he wants to have sex with the person in the shot. It's like in the Instagram photo. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I see what you're saying is that's what all guys do. But then we have a woman liking a photo of another woman. Okay, what's the twist going to be? The twist is no, she also just wants to have sex with somebody. So while after the fact, I did think to myself, there's actually there's many different lame reasons people like photos on Instagram. They chose to not do a broad cross section. Instead, they just decided they just sort of went, for me, that revelation that everybody does it because they want to have sex with somebody was a really fun build for me. And I feel like you could do this sketch again next year with another lame reason that everybody likes photos on Instagram, and it wouldn't feel completely redundant.
What would that reason be? Maybe like what would, because that would seem like a lowering of the, if you just try to seem more woke, because they almost addressed every reason in the ants, like the ant, like because I want to seem more woke, ant, you know what I mean? Like, so then you ruined any possibility to do it again because you just ran through all those punchlines.
Yeah, I think that the whole the fact that it all gets distilled down to people just want to have sex, I think there's such a lovely universal quality to that I think actually did sell the bit quite a bit, which is like, I also don't think it means that you can replicate the sketch down the line. I think because I think Sean was saying, there's nothing that tops people just want to have sex with other people as a motivation for liking photos on Instagram. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah. But I did like how they got to the I wanted her to be like the specifics of the thing. Like, oh, she's gonna be at the dinner table, she's gonna say this, and he's gonna oh yeah, let's go get some coffee. That's what sold it. And it's like, oh, okay, got you. Funny.
Yeah.
But
honestly, that was probably the highlight of the sketch.
Mm-hmm.
That particular twist.
Yeah, I mean the highlight for me was
We're raw dogging in a Starbucks bathroom.
Chloe Finan, who helped write this. That was really great. But I will say, yeah, I think this conversation is so fascinating for me because I think that the point that Rich hit, which is like everybody does it, and that's why this could be universally beloved as a concept. I think that really tracks because when you go to something, and I make the comparison between last week and this week, where we're talking about is my brain okay? Obviously, everybody deals with mental health issues, but I think in that particular case, there's different comfort levels of addressing those things. Whereas when it comes to sexual stuff, I think this is on a little bit of a lighter note. So I think the fact that all the participants in the sketch can all agree that this is something that they all do, I think that makes it fun for everyone. And I always love observing in SNL game show sketches if the game of the sketch is going to be the game show itself or is going to be the contestants, because you oftentimes have game shows where it's contestant 1 feels X, contestant 2 feels X, and then contestant 3 is like, why does 1 and 2 feel X? And I think that those are the ones that don't generally work as well. I think it's the reason why What's That Name, which Liz referenced earlier, and this sketch track a lot better because everybody is on board with what's happening here. So overall, I do feel like this was one of the better game show sketches that we've seen this season. Okay. The sketch that I want to talk about is the Chucky sketch. And that was a pre-tape that we got this week. This was Sarah Sherman and Dan Bula came together for a pre-tape. And I didn't know where this was going to go. I mean, incredible green screening in this one where you had, or whatever technology they ended up using to make, Sarah look like Chucky in this one. To make Sarah look like Chucky in this one. And it was just, really intense in certain senses, but the light note and Rich, I know how much of a fan you are of 80. Not having 80 Bryant last week for her to come back and play this Janet character for me was one of my favorite characters that I saw the entire evening, because I just love the complete dichotomy between this innocent woman who just wants to eat her tuna and this Chucky doll that Sarah is just like trying to kill everybody in the office, because I think that Sarah is so used to playing dark and maybe sexual and maybe really dirty and messy in all of her stuff. And you have 80 Bryant as a complete opposite in this sketch. And I think that's the power of SNL when you can put these different personalities in a certain environment. So this one it was really, really great for me, especially on a second watch. Rich, can I start with you on it? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I thought it was really fun. And, and I know this will sound like a complete twist from what I said about HGTV. I loved the setup of three people in an office bathroom complaining about Janet. And at the end, they're so upset with her that they compare her to Chucky. And then when we hear the toilet flush, I assume Janet, whoever Janet is going to come out. And instead it's Chucky. And everyone hates Janet so much that even Chucky is upset that he's being compared to Janet. So right out of the gate, I'm in for this ridiculous and this idea. And then of course it's going to be 80 playing Janet, and yet she still delivers with so little. And just the idea that Chucky can stab people, but she's eating tuna fish open, an open tuna fish in the office. I 100% concur with the feeling that is worse than stabbing somebody in an office meeting. So a lot of fun here. Definitely you needed Sarah's energy that she brought to this. She has an X factor that I don't know that I think I would have grown tired of this sketch if it had been probably most other people in that role, but she had such a great energy that sort of propelled through. And just really fun and different. And yeah, huge shout out to the technical aspect. The idea that they put this together in less than a week, beautiful.
Yeah. The fact is, SNL's budget with Sarah's mind is a beautiful equation that I cannot wait to see for years to come.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Liz, what were your thoughts on the Chucky pre-tape?
I really liked it a lot. I thought, technically it was a really nice combination of great technical work and really good, solid writing. I really enjoyed the fact that after the sketch aired in the live episode, they included a quick shot of the green screening in progress with all the puppeteers in the green in all green spandex suits manipulating the puppet. That was really fantastic. I thought that was really nicely done. And I think it also was a great example of, I think, the kind of sketch that we look for a lot in really good SNL episodes, where it feels like the host is just another cast member. Like literally anyone could have played the HR representative, but Jake shows up and does it, and he's really funny and he's really solid, but it's not an attention grabbing performance. It's just it is him just really showing up to play and support his fellow castmates, which was really cool.
100%. Yeah, this was, my thing, or my general thesis statement on the episode was I felt like Jake Gyllenhaal actually elevated a lot of sketches that he was in. This was not one of them. This was one where I felt like the writing was perfectly great on it. And Jake, just came in and did his thing. And you're exactly right, Liz. Sean, how did you feel about the Chucky pre-tape?
Yeah, you know what? I enjoyed everything that Rich and Liz are bringing up. It felt smooth, great writing. You got right into the game and you get it. I would say, man, you know what? So we have a thing in improv where, like, I've watched a lot of live shows and I've seen a lot of teams, and you can kind of tell when something real is happening behind the scenes, right? And being that this show delves into numbers and stuff like that, it just makes me feel weird when they make fun of 80 in a certain way. I don't know if I've been oversensitive. Is she been in like the least amount of like sketches or something like that? I saw like
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. I thought she was on the lower end of time and just. I was like, damn. Well, I don't know. It feels weird when they go at her like that. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being weird or like thinking that there's something else going on that's not like.
I think you're thinking of another cast member that starts with an A.
Okay, maybe my bad. I read the numbers wrong, but then my feeling changes. As long as it doesn't feel, as long as people aren't picking on poor 80 Brian or something like that, man. But if it's about Janet, then that's great. Like, fuck Janet. But people that or forget Janet. But I do eat tuna at work, man. Look, get out. You know what? I don't heat it up. I don't heat it up. I eat it raw dog tuna, lemon pepper. Okay, it's good for it. Look, you want some of this? Look at that, Rich. Look at that. That's how you get it. Tuna. Eat it at work. Yeah. Don't let people judge you.
But Sean, do you raw dog it in a Starbucks bathroom?
Raw dogging in a Starbucks bathroom.
I raw dog it anywhere, man. You eat it raw. No mayonnaise, no hot sauce. Straight up. Lemon pepper tuna out the pack. Crackers.
All right.
This is not where I saw tonight going.
Yeah. So, question. This is I'll start with Rich on this. Who said this line better in the history of SNL?
You filthy slut!
Or
Jane, you ignorant slut.
Rich, what do you think?
I never loved it. I never loved it in the Dan Aykroyd era, so I'm going to give it to Sarah Sherman.
Liz, you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, actually,
Sean.
no, wait. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my initial position. I'm sticking to it.
All right, Sean. Who won the slut battle?
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna say that a man called a woman. No, it's when Sarah said it. Hell no. You trying to trap me, John? What was that?
No, it was the 1970s. But yes, I agree. All right, let's talk about what else from the episode that we really enjoyed and wanted to make sure that we cover tonight. So, Sean, anything else that you saw in the episode you want to make sure we talk about?
Oh, you know what? Yeah. So earlier we were talking about this scarf thing that they seem to be avoiding. And it was weird because as I was watching Update, I thought that Will Smith joke was a little, they didn't hit hard with it, right? Like they were going more at the Academy Awards than Will Smith. And then when I saw Willow Smith, I was like, is that Willow Smith? Do you think, I'm curious to know, do you guys think that maybe they might have pulled some punches or pulled some jokes away from that, because Willow was there and how that even worked out? I don't know if she was really featured on that on that song or if it was just like what was that? I don't know. Was that expected or?
She was featured on that song, so that was probably an expected cameo. Yeah, but I would doubt. I'll say before the other panelists go, I would doubt that they pulled back on anything. I think if anything, they just like hit it, no pun intended, very hard last week, and so I think that they were just like probably stayed away from this at this point. Liz, what do you think?
I mean, I think my biggest problem with that joke was the fact that I saw it on Twitter 2 days beforehand. I mean, it's not. Look, it's fine. Like I'm not accusing anyone of plagiarism, like because I fully understand and know how jokes work, and I fully understand that like certain ideas are in the ecosystem. They had an additional twist on it because they can connect it to their own experiences. I'm not throwing a flag on the play, but I did think it wasn't the most original beat they could have hit.
Yeah, for sure. Rich?
Based on no facts whatsoever, I'm going to say that they did pull their punches. I think if Will Smith was backstage, they still would have hit below the belt because that's how they play. But Will Smith's daughter, I think that they went, and knowing that she was going to be there, it wasn't like she was a surprise person. I think that they did the classy move. Now, I will also say, normally when the musical guest has a planned someone show up as a surprise, the host will say, "Ladies and gentlemen, Camila Cabello featuring Willow Smith." And the fact that he didn't do that makes me think that there was a conversation that they were worried that it would pull too much focus if he said the name Willow Smith to an audience that mostly is not their generation, but is the generation that follows the Oscars and Will Smith. I don't think that was a mistake either.
Interesting. Okay.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah, that could very well be. Liz, anything else from the night that you want to make sure we talk about?
I'll quickly mention that I mean, as much as it was kind of a riff that we'd seen before, it had very much shades of Stefan. I did enjoy 80 and Bowen's influencers in the. Like I believe it's not the first time they've played those characters, but I would watch them do it again. I would like that to be. I would be fine with that becoming a bit, especially if it meant similar to how Stefan worked out, that we got deeper and deeper into who the characters actually are. Like, where's that movie? I will watch that movie.
For sure. That is very true. And this was the second time we've seen them. The last time was on the Willem Dafoe episode of SNL. Rich, how do you feel about the trend forecasters with 80 and Bowen?
It's funny. Liz took the words right out of my mouth. Seeing it a second time, I was like, "Oh, it's not as good as Stefan," but you felt, because there was a very specific format, but the actual things they were saying in the it was all really fun stuff, building to this very theatrical moment. The two heads together, the lighting, they hit it every time. Their synchronicity on the line was really fun, and this idea that they were sending trends to bed or something, like it worked really well, and it was a great energy of the two of them. So I bet that this becomes a reoccurring format, and I think it works really well with the two of them. I thought it was great energy, and it was really fun.
Yeah, I like the interplay between those two. It's a pairing we probably don't get that much. I can really think of anything else, but I love them together. I love their heads together. Sean, how did you feel about the trend forecasters on Update?
Oh, for sure. I thought that they were having fun together, and it's always just good to see people having two people having fun, especially when they have to build in energy and punch like the you know what I mean? That can be challenging, especially live. So to see them do it so well. It's got to come back.
Okay, so we wanted to have some fun with their piece, and the first thing that they mentioned, I mean, obviously they mentioned this.
If you're gonna sneeze, just do it, show off.
So apparently sneezing we can't do anymore. So that's good to know. Okay, I'm learning everything I need to know from 80 and Bowen, and obviously
Go to bed and never wake.
Which is a recurring thing from them. But really the thing that I was most fascinated with was jogging to Kelly Clarkson. Apparently, according to them, is out, which I wouldn't have known that. So let me ask the panel, because we did ask our social media audience. We got a ton of responses to this. We said, is jogging to Kelly Clarkson in or out? So I'll ask our panelists. Sean, what do you think?
I need some violent music, man. So I could never jog to Kelly Clarkson anyway. Out. Let's get it out of here.
Okay, Liz, what do you think?
I'd never vote against Kelly Clarkson. I say it's in.
Okay, Rich.
Sadly for me, jogging has been out for 40-something years. So Kelly Clarkson is irrelevant. I don't have the guns that Sean was just showing off. Maybe I should be jogging and eating more tuna fish. I am going to guess that it's in, is my guess.
All right, got it. I could jog to a moment like this. I feel like there's something there, but yeah, we did ask our audience. We got a ton of responses. 55.23% of the audience say it's out. 44.77% say it's in. I'd say that's pretty 50-50. So I'd say if you want to jog to Kelly Clarkson, do your thing, people. Have some fun with that. Okay, Rich, let's ask you anything else from the episode that you want to make sure we talk about.
I would say just to call out, towards the end of the night, it was great to see, Punky get, feature, lead a sketch. I thought she, and you never know how that's going to go, especially because she's a stand-up comic. She hasn't had a lot of time on the show to play characters, even in like a supporting role. So we had her play a lead role here, and just really fun. I thought she did a great job. It was short. Everyone played their role. It didn't overstay its welcome. I think it should have been the last sketch of the night, and I thought it was just a really fun sketch. I was glad to see her get that moment and really deliver.
Yeah, I didn't even get to say this on Saturday, but this was actually a sketch that was originally cut from the Kieran Culkin and Ed Sheeran episode.
Oh.
So the fact that it was Ben Silva and Alex English at the time, Rosebud Baker, who had since been hired, clearly came in and touched this up a little bit. So for me, I thought it was really wonderful to see that they gave this a second go and gave Punky a chance to anchor this sketch. So really just props to her. Sean, what did you think about this?
Oh, yeah, I'm a big Punky Johnson fan, just as a person and as a stand-up comedian. I do think as far as the little hat with the water gun part, I was like, oh, what the hell? Why? But other than that, yeah, man, I just love Punky, man. So more Punky.
For sure. Liz, thoughts on the couples counselor sketch?
It was her work wig. How dare she? I'm busy processing the news that it was originally written with Kieran Culkin in mind for the Jake Gyllenhaal role, because I might like that version of the sketch better. I feel like Kieran Culkin would have leaned into certain aspects of it in a really entertaining way. But the version we got in the reality that currently exists was also very fun.
Yeah, and I also think that beyond the writing, the intonation on the lines that Punky was saying, I felt like were fantastic. I really felt like this was a side of Punky we haven't seen. Even things like this.
Oh, Lord, hit the floor!
Like just like it's so subtle. It's a 2-second line, but the way she says that with so much passion, I was like, "Where is this Punky?" And obviously, Liz referenced this.
Oh no, baby, this is my work wig.
It's like those things. It's like if I would have seen that Punky for the last year and a half, I would have been like for sure on the Punky train. So I was just sort of wondering where this came from. So I would love to see more of it. Really enjoyed that this got into the episode. Okay. For me, I do want to mention Jake Gyllenhaal because I feel like we have had a discussion. We talked about him a lot, obviously, at the beginning and his choice to host. But as far as the sketches were concerned, I really felt like Jake Gyllenhaal was an excellent host. My hot take on Saturday night was that, like I said, he elevated a lot of the sketches. I felt like some of the ones near the end, including, Tombstone and Truck Stop CD, like these were things that with a bad SNL host, I think would have been in the dumps. But I really felt like he came out, he was totally game. And, like Rich said, I mean, coming out to sing and showing his talents off, to me, this was very, very impressive. I said it on Saturday and I'll say it again. I honestly got Will Ferrell vibes from Jake Gyllenhaal in this episode. That's how strong I felt like he was in terms of just him carrying the load on some of these sketches. So I would love to hear just from a perspective of just looking at Jake Gyllenhaal's performances in the episode. Does anybody have opinions on that? So Sean, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I thought he was great, man. I thought it was, damn, Will Ferrell, watch your mouth. But yeah, no, he was great, man. I thought he was a good host, and it seemed like he was having fun, and they took a lot of his suggestions or maybe things that he wanted to do in order to make it more fun. And yeah, man, I think everybody enjoyed him.
Yeah, Liz, what do you think? How did Jake do overall?
Yeah, I agree. Like even in the sketches that were less successful, he was always a really solid, strong performer, and he seemed really game to try a lot of different stuff. So, I mean, yeah, if SNL doesn't have him back within the next 2 years, like they're idiots.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Rich, what do you think?
Similar, I don't know that I would say Will Ferrell vibes. But I thought he was, even like that. We didn't talk about the cabaret sketch, which I don't think we needed to. But I actually thought that he, generally when you've got Bowen and Cecily in a musical number, they are gonna sort of pull the focus. And I thought he not only held his own, I actually think that his character that he did in that was the funniest character in the piece. So absolutely held his own for sure.
Yeah, for sure. This line got me from that sketch.
When I pump inside, if a lady's stuff comes out.
That's a Will Ferrell line. So I really felt like we saw that, and then obviously Tombstone. When he was playing the sick character Doc Holliday. For me, that he was really great in that. So overall, just looking through my sound clips, I mean, I really feel like we covered most of the stuff this evening. I will ask one more Jake Gyllenhaal a question, and this goes back to him singing throughout the night. We did ask our audience to say which was your favorite Jake Gyllenhaal singing moment throughout the night. So there were 4 times this happened. He sang in Spring Flowers, he sang in the cabaret sketch, in the monologue, and then the last sketch of the night, Truck Stop CD. So Rich, do you have a pick?
Oh boy. I love that I'm always wrong compared to the audience. I will guess the cabaret song. Please don't say the trucker sketch, community. Please don't say the trucker sketch.
Okay, Liz, what do you think?
I'm gonna go monologue.
Okay, monologue. And Sean?
Definitely monologue because of that Marvin Gaye hold the note moment. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
that level of confidence. Yeah,
I-
it's monologue.
I'm guessing monologue also because you know, if there's one way to try to appeal to the gay community, a Celine Dion cover is not a bad strategy. It's a big weekend, of course, for Celine Dion fans with Aline coming out too. So it felt like a nice little cross promotional moment.
Interesting. Didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's what our audience said. They said Spring Flowers was actually their favorite singing moment from Jake throughout the night.
Okay.
Just barely over Cabaret Night. So Spring Flowers got 28.36% of the vote. Cabaret got 27.61% of the vote. The monologue came in third place, 23.88%. And then Rich's favorite sketch of the night, Truck Stop CD, got 20.15% of the vote.
I was going to ask you guys in the monologue. I really struggled understanding what he was saying. There was a lot of times where I wish there was closed captioning because I'm like, I bet that was funny, but I missed it. Was it just me and my wife, or did you guys get all the jokes?
He could have enunciated a little sharper during the song. Like, I definitely agree with you there.
I was going for musicality. I was just into the musicality of it. Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to point out what matters most about that poll is that Truck Stop CD is the worst is the lowest on the list.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. My take on that was I really felt like that was a Clancy T. Baccarat sketch with Will Forte and Kristen Wiig just redesigned for this one. But yeah, as far as the monologue was concerned, I think so. I think in the Dreamgirls one that he did in 2007, I think he was probably a little bit more, saying the words a little bit stronger on that one. I got chills though. I have to say, I rewatched this again. I got chills when the three ladies came out. I think those moments are always really special when you could do the side by sides of like previous eras and seeing this stuff. So yeah, I felt like that moment was special. And I think that was probably, if I had to pick, my favorite Jake Gyllenhaal moment of the night. Okay. As for, general stats of the night, obviously, the person who led the night in sketches was Ego Wodem with 6 sketches. So she was really all over the place. Cecily Strong, Chloe Feynman were both at 5 sketches. The female cast in this sketch had a really, really strong night. So I just want to shout that out because it's not always the case on SNL. I really felt like the women of SNL had a wonderful night. So really great job. Okay, let's talk MVPs from the Jake Gyllenhaal episode. So panel, I'm going to ask you to give us the top 3 for your votes for MVPs, and then we'll show you what the audience said. Sean, starting with you.
Well, I'm always going JJ. That's me. I know they didn't pick them, but whatever. JJ, Red, and Gyllenhaal.
JJ, Chris Red, and Gyllenhaal. Liz, your pick.
I'm gonna go Bowen because I'm a Bowen person. That's the thing. Bowen, Jake, and at 80. Actually, no, wait, take it back. Sarah. Voting Sarah.
Okay, Rich.
I'm going to go Chris Red, and then I'm going to go Bowen, and then I think I'm going to go off. I know I said this a few weeks ago, but I'm going to say it again because I want this. Years ago when Phil Hartman was on the show, they called him the glue because he could glue together every sketch. And I think in 2 years we're going to be saying that about Ego. I think she's becoming the glue of the show, so I'm picking her in my 3rd slot.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that was an expectation for us this season, and it hasn't happened in every episode, but this was a great Ego Wodem episode. All right, let's bring up our MVP results from this episode. And Sarah Sherman actually won the night on this one. So I do, this is not the first time that Sarah's won our MVP polls. I think there's a lot of support for Sarah online. So I just will say as a quick caveat to that, I think that Sarah obviously had a fantastic sketch with the Chucky pre-tape, but I do think that the support for Sarah Sherman online, certainly a lot of people will vote for her for MVP. Jake Gyllenhaal comes in second. It's 17.65%. So I believe Sean was the only person who had Jake on his list. Bowen Yang comes in third at 13.73%. Chris Red in fourth with 9.8%. And Cecily Strong with 5.88%. Those are our top 5 MVP votes for this episode. You can always vote in our MVP polls. We put those up on Monday afternoon, so you have a few hours to vote in our polls if you want to get your picks in for the episodes every single roundtable. And thank you to everybody who keeps voting with us online, on Twitter, and on Instagram. All right, so as we wrap up, sorry, Rich, did you want to jump in?
No, it's okay.
No. Cool. All right. So as we wrap up the Jake Gyllenhaal episode and look forward to the Lizzo episode, which I'm personally really excited about. Obviously, we had Billie Eilish do double duty earlier in the season, and now the second double duty episode of the season with Lizzo. I think we're in store for something very fun, and I would love to know from the panel what your expectations are. So, Sean, are you looking forward to seeing Lizzo on the show?
Man, I'm scared, man. I'm be honest. Like, I don't know. I don't know a lot about Lizzo except that, you know, I've seen her. She's kind of wild, man. I heard her on an NPR interview once, kind of go off on Terry Gross or something like that. But not go off on her, but she checked her in a cool way about her being big, like. And so I don't know. I don't know if she can have fun with some of the. I don't know where her mind is at, or where her comedy, you know, lands. So it could be. I'm a little nervous, man, and I don't know if does she have any new songs? I only know her old stuff, I guess. Is she gonna has she been on the show before? Obviously, right? As a musical guest?
So she was the musical guest during the Eddie Murphy episode. And
That's right.
Yeah, that Christmas episode that we got.
Yeah, man. So she's got I don't know if she's got what her new songs will be. A little nervous, man, because I'm black and she's black, and you know, I have to defend it no matter what. So I'm nervous.
Yeah, so according to the press release that we get from SNL, Lizzo will pull double duty when she takes the stage for her SNL hosting debut and second musical guest performance on April 16th. The Grammy winner stars in the competition series Watch Out for the Big Girls. I'm not going to say it like Jake Gyllenhaal said it in that sketch. And premiering March 25th on Prime Video. So I believe that is what she is promoting for this particular episode. Liz, what are your expectations for the Lizzo episode?
Well, hopefully better jokes than anything I was coming up with about me potentially being actually Lizzo and hosting myself, which
okay.
none of them were very good. I'm on cold medication. But I do think she's going to be very good. And I'll tell you, if anyone who's worried about it, anyone who wants to like check her bona fides, go watch Hustlers. Not only is it a great movie and it's really fun, really fun and interesting and smartly made, but Lizzo's not in a lot of it, but she plays a pretty significant supporting role. And she has this one-line delivery in regards to a young man entering the club that is one of the funniest things one of the funniest things I heard in a movie all year long. So yeah, but we'll see how it works. But I personally feel like she can, and especially if catered to in the writing properly, I think she's going to kill it.
I agree. I think that she's game. I saw that she posted on Twitter today. She said, "So what sketches do you want to see me do on SNL?" So I think she's fun. I think she interacts with the fans on social media. So I think she's a really great get for the show. Rich, what are your expectations for Lizzo this week?
Well, if anyone thinks that the only way I know of Lizzo is from her being on the Eddie Murphy episode, you know, you'd be right. That's right. But great stuff. But I will say, broadly speaking, I always really enjoy a musical a performer doing double duty. I think it leans into the party atmosphere, the marathon 90-minute live aspect of the show. Are they going to pull it off? And on top of that, when it's a musical performer who has a history of not worrying about their image and not being a safe persona in the public eye, I think that really sets us up for a potential fun show. So it's great to hear from Liz, you know, that she's, you know, could be a good performer when it comes to, you know, actual comedy as well. But I think that strong point of view and pulling that off, I think it's going to be a really fast 90 minutes in a good way.
For sure. I think that my apprehension comes with Lizzo comes a little bit from seeing the Adele episode in season 46, the beginning of that one, where I felt like, you know, similar in terms of, you know, they obviously have the pipes on them, can sing really beautifully. And I think that in that particular episode, SNL leaned towards, well, Adele can sing, so let's have her sing in every single sketch. And I think that my hope is that that's not going to be the turn for Lizzo in this episode. Obviously, she's going to be performing a couple times, but I would like to see, I would like to see, some more range from her, potentially what she can do in the different, positions that they can put her in this episode. So I'm very excited about it. I feel like the writing has been a lot stronger this season compared to last. And I think that, bringing somebody in who was just game to have fun with the cast, and especially in terms of diversity, the fact that they went in this direction, I love it. So for me, I'm just very excited to see what we're going to get from Lizzo and break that all down next week. So, and we're going to continue our coverage of the Jake Gyllenhaal episode as we get through the week on our patron feedback show. So I hope you enjoyed our hot take show and our roundtable this week with some great panelists. On a Wednesday night, we will be back for our patron feedback show. We will post our patron feedback forms tomorrow on Instagram and on Twitter for you to send in your questions. We can talk all about the Jake Gyllenhaal episode as well as the Lizzo episode. Would love to hear your thoughts as we break down the episode one last time. And then on Thursday night, it is Hollywood Dish. Nicole and Rebecca will be back for one more time during this SNL run to talk about what is happening. Is Britney Spears pregnant? Apparently heard that today. Obviously, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez are engaged again. So a lot of stuff happening in pop culture world. So Hollywood Dish, they'll be the ones to tell you what is happening before this episode. And then on Saturday night, we will be back to break down everything from the Lizzo double duty episode as we celebrate, finishing up our penultimate run of SNL. Then we have a little bit of a break, and then our 3 May episodes to wrap up the season. All right, panelists. So it was so great to talk to you and break down this particular episode. Would love to get some final thoughts and some plugs as to where the listeners can reach out to you. So Sean, final thoughts on the Jake Gyllenhaal episode and where can the listeners reach out to you?
Man, I loved it, man. Thank you for bringing me on the show, John. And man, follow me on Instagram, Twitter. My TikTok's not that booming, but and see me if you're in Cincinnati or Phoenix this month, or just check me out on the Laugh Now, Laugh Later tour. And eat your tuna. Look, this is why you eat your tuna. Rich, look at that. That's why you eat tuna, damn it. That's why you eat your tuna. Eat your tuna. I don't care if you're at work. Don't let people pressure you, Janet. Eat your tuna.
Oh gosh, yeah. Okay, well. I was looking for a good sound clip for that moment. Liz,
my turn. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Liz, where can the listeners reach out to you and tell everybody what you are working on over at Consequence?
Well, I will be declining at this moment to show my abs off. But I'm over at I'm senior entertainment editor at consequence.net, and you can go there to find all sorts of fun interviews and reviews we've been running. I talked to Devo. That was cool. Who goes through life thinking you're going to talk to Devo? But I talked to Devo. We're publishing that as we record this tomorrow, so that'll be fun. And you can also find me on Twitter at Lizlet. You can find me on Instagram at Liz Shannon. And I personally will not judge you if you like anything like any of my photos on Instagram. And I'm also going to throw in, I'm on Letterboxd at Lizlet. I enjoy Letterboxd, and I feel like I don't plug that element enough.
So, Liz, let me just ask you, did you talk to Devo about their appearance as the musical guest on the Fred Willard episode from October 14th, 1978?
I am very sad to report it didn't come up. But next time I talk to Devo, I will make sure to ask about that.
Okay, perfect. Got it. Rich, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for joining us. Final thoughts, and where can the listeners reach out to you?
If you are up in Granada Hills, there's a Starbucks. I'll probably be there in the mornings as we're moving next week. I'm nowhere. Follow Sean. Don't follow me. There's nothing. I don't have the abs or the comedy of Sean. So I would show you my abs, but I think that YouTube would take the video down. So I don't. Nobody wins. But that said, no one's given me stink eye for eating tuna fish. So I think I'll take flabby and carnitas any day over ripped and smelly fish. So.
Yeah, for sure. Can I just before we wrap up tonight, I do want to do a favor to our friend Nick in the chat, who was asking me to ask your predictions. So I'll just ask Rich predictions for who's going to introduce Lizzo as the musical guest next week. You get to pick a cast members.
I'm going to say Keenan.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I would think so. I think they'll be fun. Maybe Keenan and Chris. Yeah, they usually have fun with those. Of course, if there's any cameos, that would make sense as well. All right. Well, if you would like to give a follow to the SNL Network, you can find us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as we continue to post incredible content. If you're an SNL fan, just dive even deeper with us on social media. You can follow us. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify to make sure to never miss a show. It's always great to get your feedback, especially with star ratings and reviews on the Apple Podcast Store. Always appreciate that as we continue to get better and better here at the SNL Network. I hope you'll join us for the rest of our shows this week, and looking forward to spring coming in and what is left to come for the rest of season 47. So you can follow me at Jon Schneider 24 if you ever want to reach out. Thank you to Sean, Rich, and Liz, and the chat for joining us tonight. We will see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.